afternoon, good evening, good day, wherever you are in this wonderful world. This is Harry Armytage, the learning difficulty expert, and with me is the wonderful Sally.
Hey, Harry. Good to see you again. Sorry I missed out on last week. I was busy in Fiji.
Oh my goodness, did I go green with envy?
Yeah,
Oh, getting away from winter, you lucky.
I know. I know. Very, very grateful for the opportunity. Yeah. So what are we talking
So
about?
today we're going to talk about flexibility and mobility.
Ooh,
I think is really close to your heart, as
it
it is mine.
it is. How important are both of those two things, hey? Very.
So one of the things that I do for flexibility and mobility is to stretch.
Yep. It's number
You
one.
reminded me of this the other day. Yeah.
I know, it's so important. It's just a very basic thing that is critical to your body functioning optimally. And I think we were talking about like stretching when you're in bed because your muscles are nice and warm and first thing in the morning and really waking everything up, getting the blood flow going. Big stretch up, pointing your toes up and stretching your fingers and toes, roll your shoulders back. Oh, that's right. Opening up the heart chakra, Harry.
And I'm really sore here. We talked
And
about
why
it
would that be, Harry?
because I did too many press ups yesterday.
High five on that. Super proud of you.
Did about
Awesome.
50 or 60.
50. Man,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's
Got into a competition with somebody half my age and lost.
And that's another thing. Age is no barrier. And when it comes to stretching, everybody can do it. Like everybody
Yeah.
can do it. And, when you're inflexible, you're feeling stiff and everything's achy, painy, and your posture goes. When you're inflexible, you can see people just sort of half bent over or can't touch their toes and they're having trouble just reaching down to pick things up off the floor. A real pain. Flexibility is it's overlooked and it's really, really important.
So that what you just said about not being able to pick stuff up, it actually inhibits your lifestyle, it inhibits your freedom.
Yep.
I quite often have to pick children up, and if you don't have flexibility and mobility, you can't do that, or you damage yourself doing it.
Yeah,
Big
absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. There's a greater risk of injury and pulling a muscle, as they say, or whatever, and stiffness and muscle soreness. And, when you're more flexible, it helps decrease your stress in your life as well. Just stress in the body and even your heart rate settles down. And, when we're talking about flexibility, tight areas in hips are one area that get very tight, hip flexors, particularly from sitting and extending some muscles and shortening others. And there's lots of things you can do to open up your hips. And that's one of the key things I work on with my clients. Another thing that's...
And what do you get them to do? What's the number one tip for opening up the hips?
Well, there's a hip flexor move, which is bending forward, one knee down on the ground, keeping your shoulders back, tilting your pelvis forward and coming through. And so you're extending that hip flexor there, doing it on each side and also stretching your arms up and over. So that helps stretch down the hip flexors as well. There's heaps of things to do. But tight hips is very common. You can butterfly your toes as well. So hang on to your toes or ankles, knees out and up and down. Lots of different things to do with hip flexors.
One of the things I remember from my diploma study is that muscles are like that and they extend and shorten and lengthen.
Yes.
But if you want to increase flexibility and lengthen a particular muscle or tendon, you need to put it under stress for at least 30 seconds.
Yes, and also there is that line of don't
right?
hyperextend. How long did you say?
30 seconds. So you get it under, so you can feel the pressure in it, and then you just keep that pressure up for 30 seconds and then it lengthens.
It's very important to breathe with it and to focus your breath into the area of the muscle that you're trying to lengthen. That's what becoming flexible is all about. As you said, it's lengthening those muscles. So yoga is very good at holding it in one pose, focusing your breath down into those areas and gently letting the muscles extend out. So, a 10-second hold is really good, but then the longer you're in the pose or in that stretch, the deeper the impact from it and the lengthening can happen. So yes, the longer the better, but as a minimum, I'd like to say like 10 seconds. So, because, it's really important even before you do a workout or some form of exercise to do a little warm up and a little bit of a stretch. So important with my clients to stretch them before their workout and stretch them afterwards as well. It helps with recovery and reducing muscle soreness, that sort of stuff.
So this is a question I have for you, Sally.
Yes,
so I was reading in the Harvard Health Report this morning as preparation for this. Their recommendation is that you stretch after 5 minutes of activity.
You do a warm up and then a stretch. Yeah, that's right.
So warm up and stretch. You agree with that?
Yeah, cross trainer or treadie or something like that, so that you're getting the muscles warming up, and then you lengthen them, and that's exactly what we do. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. When you get up in the morning, your muscles are warm. They've already warmed up.
Yeah.
And sitting in the shower is awesome. If you just be careful when you're tilting forward from the hips, but try and touch your toes if you don't mind getting your hair wet when you're in the shower. The warmth of the water on your lower back helps extend those muscles, and it's so awesome. Yeah. And it's something, as we age, we really need to work on our flexibility and our mobility with our balance, because balance is one of those really important things that we tend to lose balance as we get older. So we need to really work on that. And the main reason, isn't it, to prevent injuries, falls and things like that?
Absolutely. Once you lose your balance and you start falling in public, you have a massive loss of self-confidence.
Absolutely. Yep.
And balance is totally trainable. I am shocked weekly when I assess young children. These are 5 to 7 to 9.
Yeah. And
I get them to balance, and I can almost always outperform them as a young 68-year-old.
Young 68, and happy birthday to that. But that, that's frightening. How is that linked in with vision as well? I was reading somewhere that
there are links between balance and vision, and balance and hearing, and but the balance system is a separate system. It's most closely connected to the hearing system,
right?
Because it shares the same fluid as the cochlea, and it shares cranial nerve 8 going to the brain.
Yep.
So they're like twin sisters, but it is trainable, and it's amazing how quickly you can train it. It's not a.
It doesn't take long. Yeah, it doesn't take long.
60 minutes, you can make an impact.
Yeah, and we've discussed it before, things that you can do to improve your balance. Walking heel to toe, in a line, and then balancing on one leg. If you're starting out, hang on to something, the back of a chair or, a broomstick or something like that. But just start doing something, just taking yourself out of that little comfort zone just a little bit, and small steps. It's always about small steps. So balancing on one leg, and then
in relation to you suggesting about leaning down in the shower, for some people, if they're older, I'd be careful about that.
With blood pressure and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh no, it's slippery, and if they've got a balance issue, they can fall over and break the glass.
I was in my head. I was thinking younger people that just particularly sporty guys, with very tight hamstrings.
But there's often, you can have a soapy floor in the shower, so just be careful.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I had a woman who she came up to me from Mansfield actually.
Yeah.
She had poor balance, and if she got soap in her eyes and then couldn't see, she would fall over in the shower.
Yeah.
She came to see me because she was worried about breaking the glass panels.
Wow. That's where they need the, they have them in nursing homes, the bars that you can have in the showers and things to hang on to, something to hang on to while you're getting soap out of your eyes. That is, that's frightening, but that's a real thing, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah. She did a program and we got her back in shape.
So we were talking about mobility as well, and mobility is basically joint function. So, your shoulders and your hips and knees and that sort of thing.
Would this be relevant to joint function?
Oh, wow, Harry. You can do it. Are you the Toyota man or what?
I am. But I came down without any hurt or injury. In fact, I did it a couple of times, so we got a good shot like that.
No impact.
But I mean, it means you can jump, you can move, you can be active, you can keep the
Yeah.
lifestyle you want, excites you.
Absolutely. You know, you don't want to have seized up shoulders and hips and not be able to, like we were saying, just pick stuff up off the floor, sort of functional movements. And the number one thing with my clients, I always say to them after stretching and breathing, is protect your joints, because once you've stuffed your shoulder, you know, I know a lot of people with shoulders that pop out and knees that pop out. And
yeah, I looked up some stats, and for chronic pain as you get older, the number one joint that generates chronic pain is the knee. Yep. The second one is the shoulder, and the third one is toes.
Toes?
Toes.
Not ankles. I thought it might have been. Right.
Toes. Yeah, interesting.
Knees.
Toes. Can I read? Yeah, toes. Interesting. And, you know, there's so many poorly thought through, poorly evidence-based interventions to target the symptom of sore joints. It really annoys me. You know, we're talking about painkillers, ibuprofens, things like that. I would far prefer people to be drinking enough water, to be taking fish oil. Why fish oil? It's a good lubricant. It's a cold weather lubricant.
What about glucose?
And yeah, glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM. And also curcumin, anti-inflammatory.
Totally, that turmeric, it's fantastic. It is fantastic.
Because pain in a joint is inflammation.
It totally is. And you know, and it restricts your range of movement, which is what the mobility is all about. It's allowing that full range of movement for that joint, for that socket, and whatever it is, you know. Yeah, totally.
And you know, pro-inflammatory foods. Think about what your diet's doing to your sore joints. How much is it responsible? And are you prepared to give up the, the Big Mac,
the Big Mac,
Hungry Jack?
Oh, the big fat steak and the red wine, or the, I mean, arthritis, that's all inflammation in your joints too.
It is, but I mean, if you look at the nutrient profile of, say, a grass-fed steak or a grain-fed steak, completely different animals.
Oh yeah, totally. But that was the old ethos, wasn't it? That arthritis and the inflammation was caused by too much of the red stuff, the red meat, the red wine, excuse me, the arachidonic acid that's building up. But good quality meat. I'm all for high protein, high fat diet, but it has to be good quality source. Not
the avocados. Yeah.
Oh, the avocados. I love that. And what we were talking about, I assume truffle oil that we were talking about before, that would be good quality oil, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and good flaxseed oil, although it's a very fragile oil.
Very fragile.
It's an awesome source of omega-3.
Yeah.
And the joints ultimately need to be lubricated like a car, and you've got to get lubricants, good lubricants in your diet to help that long term, because it's not going to happen overnight.
And what are your thoughts on krill oil versus fish oil?
I think it's a waste of money. I think it's a con. I also think that if we harvest large amounts of krill for human consumption, that we're going to rob the food chain of the small foodstuffs that all the fish in the sea rely on. I'm a bit concerned about it.
Yeah, it is a worry, but also you have to be very careful with your source of fish oil to make sure it's a quality one, because of the toxic
mercury.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get ultra filtered fish oils. But most people are getting fish oils for the omega-3.
Yep.
Well, there's an alternative to that, and that's organic cold-pressed flaxseed oil.
Yeah,
and there's a good source of that in Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has to be kept in the fridge.
In the freezer if you're not using it.
In the freezer?
So I buy it from a little place in Victoria. It's cold-pressed. It's organic.
Yeah.
I buy packs of 12 containers. They're nitrogen-filled. I put 11 of the containers in the freezer.
Wow.
And the one I'm using stays in the fridge. So I wouldn't ever buy it retail, actually. I think it's oxidized.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
It should taste sweet and nutty.
Right. But what's the life span on that in the freezer? Is it like vodka? It doesn't freeze up.
It turns into a sludge, but bear in mind where I buy it from, it's nitrogen filled, so there's no oxygen in the container.
Right.
What the suppliers told me is that if you have a container in the fridge, it's okay for about 30 days.
Is that all?
And if you have it in the freezer, it's right for about 12 months.
Right.
It's very fragile. I mean, most people I talk to about flaxseed oil say they don't like the taste. And what I say to them is, it's oxidized. It's gone rancid.
Wow, you're a wealth of information. I love chatting to you.
I love my flaxseed oil. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And look, you know, what we're talking about, flexibility and mobility, with these oils and things, it's something that you can do, particularly as you get older, you know, preventative stuff that's going to help, as you say, lubricate the joints and just get the body moving, because it literally is about getting the body moving and pushing it just that little bit further. Just, you know, it doesn't take long to touch your toes. I mean, it really doesn't. You can be way out and you can gently work towards it. I mean, that's considering your size as well, because that also hinders your flexibility if you are a bit more than a bit overweight. But, you know, the more flexible you are, the better quality of life you have. It's easier to move around, easier to do day-to-day stuff, particularly as, like, working with kids. If you've got kids, you know, it's a lot easier bending down, picking up stuff, picking up the toys, picking them up. And
what about if you've got an old mum or dad to look after? That's worse because they're much heavier.
Much heavier, and they can't help themselves. It's like picking up dead weight, and then you've really got to watch your lower back and all those other areas. Yeah.
So I looked up some of the risk factors for joint and flexibility issues. One is age. One is one you've just talked about, which is weight.
Yeah.
One is fitness.
Yes.
And the last one is skill. So are you skillful about what you're trying to do? So one of the things I always love doing is running up and down stairs. Don't ask me why. I love doing it.
You love it. You've spoken about that often. I think that's awesome. But it's also.
But you've got to be careful. You don't want to trip going downstairs. I have tripped running upstairs because I take less care.
Yeah, and I'm exactly the same. And then I think, oh no, not the teeth. But I was just touching on co-ordination as well as with your balance, because it all plays under the same umbrella, this whole mobility thing. And it's something that, once again, we need to pay some attention to, but not, you know, just build it into everyday life. And,
absolutely, that's the key.
You know,
and it reminds me of some advice my dad gave me on the eve of my marriage, which was nearly 40 years ago. So it was good advice.
Yeah.
And what he said was to me, Harry, pulled me aside. He says, a tree survives in the wind only because it bends. If it were rigid, it would snap off at the first strong gust.
Wow. I love that, Harry, because that sums up exactly what we're talking about. You can adapt more when you can just go with the punches and go with the flow. But when you can't bend, when you're not malleable, you just snap off and cause injury.
Right. Something's going to break. A tendon, a bone, or a muscle. Yeah.
Nothing worse, because then the recovery as you get older, and then it's the inconvenience and the frustration, and you're incapacitated, and it's a pain in the butt. Recovery is a real pain. That's why prevention is better. Just stop it. Yeah, now, I was going to mention, I meant to bring it in, but foam rollers are very good for helping with your flexibility and getting things moving. Have you ever used a foam roller?
I actually get a face washer and roll it up.
Oh,
use it like a foam roller. If I've got a sore back, I'll put it under the tipping point.
Right.
And just lie there and relax, and then it usually sorts itself out.
Yeah. It just gets the blood flow going and breaking down the tight areas in the muscles, and helps get the mobility and agility going. Yeah, it's one of the key things I use with almost stretching with my clients. And lower back, you can get in right in under around the lats and down on by the side of the ribs. Oh, so painful, but it's good afterwards. Loosening up the tightness in the traps and the lats, and lower back and in between your what are those called? Shoulder blades. Oh goodness, and opening up.
One day I'll come down and you give me a workout.
Yeah, it's the best. It's good bad pain, and you get to love it. And
Yeah.
in the end, you're actually craving it because it just feels so good. You actually need it for your tight pecs there after all your push-ups. Lying always, opening up your shoulders.
And that's a good pain, though, from doing that. Yeah.
I know, because you've worked on it, hey? So
Yeah, that's right.
it's your little reward. What else did I have? We spoke about some balance things that you can do, like standing on one leg or walking heel to toe. And another, building up your core strength helps with your balance. So doing planks or balancing
definitely.
exercises like the Bosu or, the Duradiscs helps you, wobble around so that you're building up that core area. Very, very important. But so.
Well, what I use I use rigid balance boards.
I saw that the other day on one of your posts. Was that like?
Yeah, with proprioceptive feedback. Yeah.
It's awesome, and I've used that with kids in the kids classes, and it really helps. Really helps.
So I've had kids in a school get so good at that there'll be 3 kids in a triangle.
No, wait, on one?
No, each on their own balance board. They'll be standing on one leg on the balance board, throwing a bean bag or a ball around at high speed.
That's awesome.
Not dropping it.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Good on you, Harry. That's terrific.
And they love it because they've got the skill,
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Knees, it's ski season at the moment, and that's one thing that gets really hammered with the skiing. And, my kids are up there skiing, and I just worry about their knees, the wear and the tear on that as well.
Well, they're not prepared. They don't do anything outside the ski season. They don't warm up, so it's not surprising.
Yeah, it's scary. And, we have touched on it before when we did childhood obesity, but the stress on the joints as the kids are becoming heavier, there's more knee and ankle reconstructions at primary school level. Yeah. It's frightening, isn't it?
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. All that excess weight onto the joints. It's not good.
What's it going to be like when they're middle-aged, having had a knee reconstruction? What about the scar tissue and stuff?
And it lasts 10 years? Well, they probably last longer now, but still, when it's bone on bone with no cartilage, that's, I know, feeling the pain.
Yeah.
It just shocked me a number of years ago when there was a kid in grade 6 or grade 5 who had an ankle reconstruction. I was like, what?
Yeah, you'd really be wanting to lose some weight, big time.
All those ball sports like basketball, particularly netball, are very heavy on the knees and ankles with the
squash.
Squash, that's another one for sure. Tennis.
Yeah.
So the leaner you are for these sports, the better.
Definitely. So what I say is roll, stretch and twist.
I think that's very good. That's very good. I'd be stretching, breathing and moving. Because it's really focusing that breath as you're breathing in. Send it down to those tight areas you're trying to extend out, lengthening those muscles, because breath is energy and it's sending down energy down to those spots and helping them release and extend out, lengthen out. Very good. Then you'll feel so much better and not so stiff and be walking better, looking better. You'll look younger because you won't be so bent over. And that's why you look so young, Harry, because of all your self-care.
And you get increased quality of life. So like I said to a kid today who's 8, terrible posture, put him on a stool and I got his posture improved by keeping on poking him in the back.
Yep.
And I said, what's the downside of getting a good posture habit? What's the downside? And he couldn't actually think of one.
It's making me sit up straight again.
Just a habit. Just go into a bad habit.
It is, and it doesn't take long to just be aware. Just little triggers. Yeah. You go, oh yeah, I've got to sit up straight. Or, yeah, for sure. Well, I like that topic a lot, so thank you.
Good. I knew that was one of your favourite ones.
Stay loose and limber up, baby. Woohoo! I think you're doing very well at that, Harry, birthday boy.
Yeah. Well, we do our best.
Terrific. Well, I look forward to chatting with you again next week. I'm not sure what we're going to be discussing, but I'm sure it'll be something fun and relevant.
I look forward to it too. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Good week, darling. Bye.